Hello and welcome to another edition of the IPA Interview Series. My name is Chris Bogdon and I'm sitting here with Mike Costa, 2021 IPA inductee into the Hall of Fame. How are you, Mike?
Good, Chris, how are you?
Good. So we're going to sit here and just have a little conversation about kind of your history, how you began, and we want to get the people to know Mike Costa. That's the goal. So first question, how did you begin playing polka music?
It really influence was my father. When my mother and father took me around to polka dances when I was young, my father wanted me to be a musician. And so they took me around. I'm probably 5 or 6 years old. I think I saw my first live band there. It may have been like Somerville Polish Falcon Camp. And I just saw the trumpet player, very cool, and started taking trumpet lessons at 7 and just liked live music. And polkas was the only thing we saw live back then.
So were your parents into polkas?
Yes.
Did your parents play music?
My dad played bass. He did a summer or two with Jimmy Sturr. He played with a few local bands on bass. And yeah, so that was pretty much it. You know, he was with a band called Matty Rock. He got me in there when I was very young, just like kind of playing for free and getting a feel for it when I was like 10 or so.
So then, who was the first band you played with?
So the first band I played with, I guess, without my dad, would be Jolly Rich.
Okay.
So
I got to play with him a couple times. Yeah. Passed away, unfortunately.
Right. Great sons, Ricky and Adam.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great time. So what year was that? When you
it's a little foggy for me. I'm thinking I was probably around 14 years old.
14?
So maybe, I don't know, 50 years ago or so, maybe 49 years ago.
So so you played with Jolly Rich, and then I heard you moved to Pittsburgh for like 6 months.
Well, actually, after Jolly Rich,
what was the next band?
Jan Simon came into play. Jan Simon, musical there. So he came in, he moved to Jersey, and I think I did about 2.5, 3 years with him. It was me, Teddy Shubik, Bobby Shemansky, Johnny Feckin, and Jan Simon. We did the first 2 or 3 records with him.
Did you do the Christmas recording?
No, I did not. I was on vacation. Jan played both horns, but I did do Coming Your Way, and then there was another album after that. Oh Yeah. So it was the first 2.
So those are the first 2 you did.
Right.
And then after that?
And after that, I did a short stint with Freddie K, maybe about a year, local, but it was good. It was, I was having fun. Then after that, my friend Vinny Horoshek, rest his soul, right, said, hey, Bruno Mikos and Polish All-Stars need a horn player. Vinny's playing with this band for the summer. You can ride up with me. I was in Jersey. Vinny's in Bethlehem. He says, well, we'll just drive together every week and we'll go. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I could probably do that. And then I just decided to move out there. So I stayed there from like June to November, and it was a fantastic summer. Played IPA in Chicago. I played both Seven Springs, the summer one and the fall one. And
Feeders Grove, I would
Feeders Grove every week was there. So it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of nice people.
Yeah.
And Bruno, of course, great musician, great singer.
Okay, so then after that, you did that. So before you go there, so your primary instrument was a trumpet, right?
Yes.
And you play piano, you play other instruments too.
Yeah.
But they came later?
They came later. Well, not much later. I think it was only took lessons on trumpet. That was at the age of 7. But my father bought a piano. The story goes before we had a dining room table in the house because he just loved music. And then he got a deal on a little drum set, and then he got a deal on an acoustic guitar. So all these things were hanging out at the house. Okay. And that was my form of entertainment. So
that was it. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so then after you played with Jan Simon, and then you did the Polish All-Stars, then what?
And then it was on to the New Brass.
Okay. So how did that happen?
So I was always a fan of the New Brass, even back in the Jan Simon days, and I was fascinated with Jan's history with the New Brass. He did Roll at the Barrel, then he left and all that. But I always liked Mitch and Roger. I thought they was such a unique sound. The way Roger played drums was very unorthodox, with that left hand, boom, cracking that snare. And Mitch, very rudimentary, but the two of them together, they hit that solid punch. The horns were there. And always loved the band. So then an opportunity came up to join. I think it was Weasel that left. Okay. And then Steve Dudas was there. Weasel went to Eddie B. Okay. I'm thinking 82, maybe, yeah. And so I got the call to join the band. So I said to Zip Lubovinsky, I said, I got to go. Sorry, but I had a lot of fun here, but the New Brass is calling. And so did a few years with them.
So how many years total?
I think it was 2 years. I think I was like 20 to 22 or 19 to 21, something around there. It might have been 82 and 83 season.
And you did one album with them, right?
One album with them. Brass Magic.
Okay. So then that comes up with obviously the question. They were more of a traditional polka band.
Sure.
And you come in and you bring the Beatles song.
Yeah.
How did that ever happen?
So we're backstage somewhere waiting to go on. There was a piano there, and I'm always messing with the piano. So I'm just pounding out the chords, and the chords sounded like the opening to Ukrainian, that A minor,
Yeah.
So then I started singing it, and in a kind of a polka tempo. And Steve Duda says, "Oh my God, what song is that?" I said, "Well, it's an old Beatles song." He goes, "But I think it could work in a polka tempo." He goes, "This is great. Stay right there." And he goes, gets Mitch. "Mitch, come over here. You got to hear this." So I played it for Mitch, and he loved it. And I was shocked. I had no idea. I wanted to present it to him, but I'm like, they're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
I'm a little kid. What the hell
Yeah.
do I know? I don't know anything, So, but he was all for it. He liked the minor key kind of thing. And then I had the riff in my pocket, and then we did it.
And you did.
It was fun.
Did you play it, or did you record it first and then you played it live?
I think we practiced it once. We had
Okay.
like this picnic in Ludlow, and then we practiced it. I had it all written out for everybody.
Where did you get the timpanis?
Oh, that was another fun. So my father worked for the Board of Education, and he was like one of the head custodians there. I'm like, "Dad, we got any timpanis that I could borrow for the weekend?" "Yeah, sure, son, no problem." So he opened the door to the school. We dragged 2 of them out. We brought them over to Bernie Godish's studio, Le Mans.
Yeah.
Set them up, couple mics, boom, boom,
And that's how you did it.
Had them back that night. That was it, and it was a lot of fun.
That might have been the only timpani that has ever been recorded on a polka album.
Yeah, I just felt it needed it. You know? I mean, and that thought came from, I know Eddie B would like sometimes start a song on an upbeat, like a bass, boom, boom,
Yeah.
and I always thought that was so cool and very effective. I said,
Yeah.
wow, maybe a timpani would be like boom, boom, just that kind of more punch. And I think it worked out nice.
So before we go on to your next career or your next bands, how do you become a Beatles fan? Like, I mean, you are like the Beatles fan, it seems.
Yeah, it just hit me like a bolt of lightning when I was a kid. I might have been 9 or 10, I'm not really sure, but the first Beatle records I ever got my hand on was Something New.
Okay.
And it had on there If I Fell and I Love Her and a few other songs. And I couldn't play guitar at that point, but I had a tennis racket. So I'm in the mirror and I got the tennis racket. I love you, yeah. And I'm just doing this and just dreaming of it. And I just loved the fact that there was multiple singers there. It wasn't like the one guy. So prior to that, you had Elvis and you had the Dave Clark Five. There was always that one guy.
Yeah.
This was like the band, And I couldn't tell who the leader was, but just fascinated with it. And every record since has just been like the blueprint for music for me.
So who's your favorite Beatle?
Paul McCartney, of course.
McCartney?
Yeah, because I think he did the most. I mean, I was a big John Lennon fan as well early on because I think he was more of the rocker.
Okay.
But Paul, they're both, but yeah, Paul McCartney.
Okay, so that was the New Brass. So then after the New Brass, what happened?
So after the New Brass, I met the Magitones while I was with the New Brass and became friends with these guys. They lived kind of close. They were in New York City. I'm in Jersey. Kind of close. We just started hanging out together. Ronnie McIntosh was with the Magitones, and for some reason or other, he left. And at that point, I had just gotten a job like a year prior with AT&T. So for the 1 year I joined the New Brass, I wasn't working. It was great. Second year, I'm with the AT&T. I'm in the mailroom. I got to start at 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday.
Yeah.
So driving home with a few beers in me from Ludlow, I'm falling asleep at the wheel every night. I like that, right? That's enough of this. So I decided, talked to Ronnie, I said, I think I got a job for you in Ludlow. I'll take your job with the Magitones, and that's how it worked out.
Nice. Okay, so then you did the Magitones, and then obviously after that came Limelight, right?
Came Limelight, yeah. So the Magitones, I was there. So that was interesting. We did Face the Music with the Magitones, and then I think that was 84. So maybe 85 or 86, Mark Pishko had to leave. He became a CPA. So I took over the band, renamed it, got a few other guys in, and we created Limelight. And then in 88, we did Let There Be Light.
Let There Be Light.
And that's the one where the timpanis were on. You Like Me Too Much. You
Oh.
Still Like Me Too Much.
Okay.
Because it was like a redo.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So that's where that came from.
And then Sports Fan was one of my favorite songs on that
Thank
album.
you.
Like when you redid that recently with the beat, I loved it because it's like, oh my God, it was just such a great written song.
And a funny story around that song. So some people said, oh, one person said to me, he's like, you just write like silly love songs. He said that to me. I'm like, silly love songs. Well, look at all your songs on the Magitones record. I'm like, all right, I'll get you. So then I thought about something else.
Yeah.
And it just came together. Yeah.
Wow.
Yankees and the Mets, Giants and the Jets. I'm like, it's perfect.
It was perfect.
It wrote itself.
It was a great song. So,
Thank you.
So then you did Limelight. You did one album with Limelight, right? And then that came to Beat. So then how, right?
Yeah, so with Limelight, it was 1988, the height of it,
Yeah.
And I feel we weren't getting a lot of traction as far as the polka band was concerned because there was so much talent out there. I mean, Lenny, The Sounds, TBC, you name it. So we kind of morphed into this wedding band, and we had success doing that. We were playing local, still making $200 a guy, by the way, back in '89, but with no traveling at all. And it was good. We had a lot of fun. We practiced, and then we played that first job. We didn't play a single polka, and we were like, oh my God, what just happened? We've morphed into like a legit pop band.
Yeah.
But then my kids started coming along, and I was like, okay, we have to take a rest here. So I think it was 92 or 93, I kind of let that band just fade away.
Yeah.
And just filled in here or there. And then 96, the Beat got started. And it was just like the members were all there. We were all in jerseys. Like, okay, let's do this. And we did a little demo, and I got a little bit of traction. And then Hank Kazevich recorded 2 records with us, and it was a lot of fun. He had the digital tape thing down. We did Meet the Beat and When I Saw You, and it was a lot of fun.
So my favorite Limelight story was the first time I saw you was at Seven Springs when you pulled out the lead guitar on Ten pod Krakowem.
Yes.
And it was like, I was like, wow, no polka band has ever had distortion on a guitar. That was the first time I've ever seen that.
Right.
So that was one of the first. The other thing I learned, and I don't know if it was good, bad, or indifferent, but you guys played rock songs at Seven Springs the one time.
We did. Zip was not happy. And the funny thing about it is, I never forget, we just got finished doing the Beach Boys medley.
Yeah.
And someone told me that Jimmy Sturr was in the other hall doing pop at the same exact time.
Are you?
I swear to God. So Zip comes running in, what is going on? Come on, this is a polka festival. God, I'm like, okay, we're done. Back to polkas,
Yeah.
It was so funny. But back then,
it
was okay. Bands kind of did a little bit more. Now you don't see too much of that. So.
Yeah, you don't. So you started, you were a trumpet player. You learned guitar, you learned piano and all those. How about your vocals? Did you ever take vocal lessons or?
No. I'm still trying to figure that out. So that's a work in progress. But I mean, the first song I ever sang lead on was "Thinking of You" with musical airs.
Okay.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But I always liked singing harmony. I'd be in the car, I'd sing harmony, falsetto to every song. So I enjoyed that. And then as time went on, I came into the Magitones. It's like, okay, I'll do this. And still never really completely comfortable with it. But I think as time goes on, you learn little tricks. It's a breathing game, Drink a lot of water, don't talk too much, don't give interviews before you have to play tonight. It's all good.
That's cool. So let me ask you about your trumpet playing. So you obviously learned the trumpet. You obviously can write music great. Who is your heroes on the trumpet?
Lenny Gomulka.
That was it?
Yeah, hands down.
How about outside of polkas?
Outside of polkas?
Because your trumpet riffs and your stuff are just so, they're just not, I don't know if different's the right word, but it's just like some of the stuff you do, the chromatics, like all those different things.
Right.
There's just so much stuff there. Who was your trumpet player influence outside of polkas?
I did remember my parents bringing home Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. I always liked that. I thought his tone was phenomenal. It was just very different. And but outside of that, really, it was really just Lenny Gomulka. Seeing him when I was like 10, I think I met him in Dover. I think I was 10 and he was 21 because there's an 11-year difference between us. And it was him and Mike Januszewski. That band, that 74. Wild World of Polkas, that band, amazing. They're doing 180 shows. The job was like, oh my God, effortless. The tone, the speed, the articulation, and then he would take some solos, and it was just flying through. And I was like, I want to do that. I like this guy, I didn't want to copy him, but I understood that his brain was just, so connected. End of the horn, it was like, whew, seamless, seamless. Not figuring anything out on the fly. It's just So, when I practice, I did a lot of classical practice. I still kind of do. And it's like speed drills on trumpet, just to get the articulation and speed down. So this is not inhibiting me at all.
Okay.
And then it's just kind of let my imagination go. I knew my chords and arpeggios and all that, and that's it. I don't think about it too much. Just whatever I feel flows, and that's what goes.
Well, it's definitely, as a musician, as a fan, it's some amazing trumpet parts listening to you guys play.
Thank you, Chris.
And so let me ask you, okay, so then the beat started, and then obviously the beat broke up.
Yeah.
And then I know you were filling in with some other bands in Jersey,
Sure.
some Middlesex Express,
Sure.
and
Yeah,
Mike Pukowski and
Sure.
those guys. And then what started the Beat Generation 2 back up?
So Beat 2.0 had it. It's now I had been asked to get the thing rolling again.
Yeah.
I just kind of resisted. My girls were getting a little bit older, so a little more spare time became available. But unfortunately, Joe DeZuba passes away, and tragic. To this day, it kills me. But then it was like, okay, can you guys get together, do a benefit? We did. We did it in 2011, 2012, a couple things. And then Barb Haslow calls and he goes, hey, I see you guys are doing some jobs. Can you do the reunion for USBA on 2013? Sure. And that kind of got it started. So got the guys in place, and little by little, just kept moving forward, adding a few more jobs every year.
And then you guys played for several years, and then you went through another massive transition.
Yeah.
So what,
yeah.
3.0?
3.0.
How did you get the kids? Like all of a sudden,
how do we
it's
find
like...
the kids? Well, I got to give my lovely wife credit for this, because she is always looking out for my best interest, and as far as life and music goes, we knew Jeff and Mike Pukowski forever.
Yeah.
And we knew of the boys. We'd see them around, and Seabass, we knew he had talent, and Alex, and we knew he had talent. We didn't know Nick could play accordion. He was kind of new to it at this point. But then I think it was in Cohoes where Nick sat in on accordion, and he did a 9-hour drive. Fantastic. And I was like, oh. And my wife had a kind of sense that things were changing. You can just kind of tell if guys are like not quite happy. And there was no fallout or anything. It was just like, so she says to Nick, she goes, hey, learn the book. One day this is happening. Says the same thing to Seabass and Alex, because we can tell they were interested. They had Polka Method going at that time.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, 3 seats opened up, and here they are.
And the rest became history.
Yeah.
And you
exactly.
not 2 old guys. I don't want to say 2 old guys.
They're
because
old.
I'm almost your age. But the fact of the matter is you have 2 old guys and then 3 young people. And I mean, you guys propelled from these people that have never played a big, like not a major job. And all of a sudden you're one of the top bands in the country.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But so, and that's what advice do you give other young people? Because here you guys are coming up, you're molding these young kids to learn to play, to learn to sing. Like what advice would you give other young people that would want to come up in polkas? Because truthfully, you nailed it. Like with your formula, however you did that, anything you could share on how that became successful would be awesome for young people.
Yeah, I think if you're young, if you're not with a band, you just have to reassure your love for music. You gotta say, do I really love this? Can I spend the time practicing? Then do it. Do the hard stuff. Don't look for any goals. Don't look for, I gotta be in a band, forget it. Things will happen. If you practice, you prepare yourself, learn a book, learn a bunch of songs, learn to sing. Do whatever you can to make yourself valuable. Meet other people who are like-minded, and that's it. Little by little, something will happen. Preparation, leads to a lucky opportunity.
Yeah. Well, you've been very successful at that. It's great watching you guys, and it's just awesome seeing the young kids coming up, and just kind of your formula is success right now. Like that's exactly the way it sounds.
Thank you.
Let me talk about songwriting. So you're one of these amazing songwriters, and it's funny because obviously I play with Wally Dombrowski, and he's a very good songwriter, and whenever we go into the studio to record with him, I get a song from him, and I always question, is that his song or is that like a cover that he found somewhere else?
Right.
And I feel you're the exact same person. Like whenever I hear a Michael Costa song, okay, is that one that he wrote? Yeah. Or is that one that, hey, he found somewhere?
Sure.
So like, how did you get to that point of being a songwriter? And what kind of advice do you have for people that may want to write those original songs?
Yeah, writing a song is a tricky little thing. I think you have to start off with a clear mind and not have any distractions. And then for me, my formula, which there really isn't a formula, but I would just sit down at the piano and I would just let my hands kind of go wherever and not really be too concerned with where the bass is or where the chords are. And then I'm just humming something. Something's kind of floating around. And if I can find some kind of melody, and if I can find some chords that kind of support that, I'm like, okay, that sounds nice. And I have a little bit here. And then I'm just kind of mumbling to myself, kind of thinking, what do I want to talk about? And if I can put a few words together, oh, okay, that's nice. And little by little, you start patching something together. And it's, some songs are very quick. Other songs, take a little while longer. But
what's your inspiration? Like just life, general
Yeah,
life, what
pretty
you
much,
see
yeah.
around there, and the world.
That's it. Yeah, just
That's it?
the world. I observe people's relationships, certain situations. Whatever. It's whatever comes to mind. Sometimes I'm inspired by other songs.
Yeah.
For instance, that song "She."
Yeah.
It really came from the Beatles song "She's Leaving Home."
Yeah.
We made a thought about is leaving. I just loved the way that was like.
Yeah.
She was there, so I had my own kind of like version. It wasn't really a version of that song, but that kind of thing. That was the inspiration for that song. So,
then how did the Let It Beat medley come together?
So we're preparing songs for the reason, and somebody said we should do a Beatles song, and I'm like, yeah, we could, but it's been done so many times. And somebody else said, well, let's put a couple songs together. And so we had 2 songs together, and I'm like, I'm kind of bored with that. I said, okay, we need to put a medley together. So give me some ideas, kids. They come back with like 25 songs. So I was like, okay, this is good. So then I started putting it together, finding the chord patterns and trying to think what would blend well together. And we came up with like, I don't know, 6, 7 songs, whatever, 8 songs, whatever in there that all worked in a polka beat. And then it was like, all right, we don't need a traditional trumpet riff. Let's do transitions. Seabass sing, I'll sing. You sing, I'll sing. So we kind of went back and forth like that. And I think the toughest thing with that song was to make the transitions impactful. I didn't want to sound like one long lyric, but it was difficult, but we were all excited about it, and I think it turned out pretty okay.
It's a great song. It's awesome to watch you guys play it and stuff like that. So what was some of the favorite areas to play? Like, you've played with so many bands. You've obviously played across the country, but where are some of your greatest memories?
I think Pulaski is a rush to play there. You play that. There's so many young people there, and they're just cheering you on, and it's a relaxed atmosphere, but everybody's just having a great time. And of course, the big fests like Springs, IPA, USBA. These are big events, so you want to bring your A game there.
How about back in when you played with the New Brass? I mean, they were hot at that time. I mean, and then obviously the crowds were amazing back then.
Sure.
Like, what was your favorite place to play with the New Brass?
We played Dover Polanka a couple times. And this is a place I grew up going all the time. And this place was just fantastic. It was kind of indoor, outdoor, mostly a closed place, but they would open up the doors and everyone's having picnics, and it was great, and the stage was great. And I used to see so many bands there just dream on being on that stage. And when I finally got to it with that band, I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. Yeah, but I mean, we played Seven Springs with the New Brass. I think we played IPA when it was in Chicago. I think we played Frankenmuth when it was in the tents, maybe, way back.
Yeah.
So, a lot of great places.
Miss Bayway?
Yeah, I do miss Bayway. I miss it more that it's gone than when it was actually there. I almost took advantage of it because I didn't take advantage of it enough because I was so close. There were so many bands coming in and out. But that was a great bar. You know what's great about that place? I mean, you had a nice long stage, a nice dance floor, but the bar was far enough away where people could talk, but yet still people watch and see the band. So it was a great venue. Not too many places like that left, unfortunately.
You know what? It's sad because I feel the same way about Fedor's Grove.
Right.
I mean, I've been there my entire life.
Yeah,
and
great picnic area.
I appreciated it, but I probably appreciate it more now that it's gone.
And it's gone. Right.
And the same thing. Like, I mean, it was every Sunday. It was every weekend, just like anyway. Twice a day, sometimes 3 times.
Right. All these bands coming through. You see the Sounds every weekend. And like, local band.
Exactly.
And then they come to Jersey and they're like, oh my God, the Sounds.
Exactly. So your polka hero. Who was your polka hero? You already said Lenny Gomulka, but what other heroes have you had growing up?
I mean, I loved Mitch and Roger for what they did and what they created. I thought that was very unique. Eddie B, of course. I mean, his voice and power like no other. Of course, Happy Louie. You know, I mean, that style of music was so unique to him, and it was fantastic. not something I wanted to emulate, but his performance, whipping the crowd. When he played Dover, honest to God, 2,000 people would be there.
Yeah.
You couldn't get in. Amazing. So, but back then, so many great players, even like Stash Galanka for this, that honky that he would do, laid back, but what a voice, the expression. And of course, Scrubby, you can't talk about polkas without him. You know?
Yeah.
So there was so many. But trumpet playing, of course, Lenny Gomulka.
So what's your favorite instrument? Trumpet?
Funny to say that. No, it's guitar. I'd rather be a great guitar player.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Really?
Yeah, you know, and it's really because you can sit down with an acoustic guitar and sound good. You know, I'm practicing trumpet and everybody's like, oh, can you put a mute in? Can you go in and bass it? You don't sound too interesting when you're playing trumpet. So I think, you know, in another life, I'll come back as a better guitar player, I hope.
Do you play acoustic guitar also?
Yeah, I play that I'm in the living room. My grandson loves it. You know, he bounces on his trampoline. We do guitar bounce. One day he was like a year and a half old. He's just bouncing. He's keeping some kind of rhythm.
Yeah.
So I pick up the acoustic guitar and I'm like, but he lit up. You know, I just put like this little blues riff behind him, and now this is called guitar bounce. And I ripped through like 3 or 4 songs for him. And,
that's awesome.
It's so much fun. So.
And then your daughter sang on one of your albums too,
Yeah.
right? How did that happen? Was she in music? Like, how did you get her to?
No, not at all. She was, I didn't even know she could sing. And so I'm just at my desk, and I'm just playing around with my 4-track recorder, recording songs. And she's like, did you ever hear of this band Flat Lonesome? And they do this one song. I'm like, yeah. She goes, can I sing it? I'm like, yeah. I was like, okay, let me learn it. So I learned it. I'm strumming away, and we put the recording on, so we would keep like tempo and only the song on. So the record's playing in the background, and I'm playing along, and she starts singing. And Chris, I had tears in my eyes. I never knew she could sing.
Wow.
Courtney, where'd you get this? Oh, from the shower. I was like, oh, of course, that's where everybody learns to sing, you know. But so yeah, that was fun, and that's why we decided to put that
on the album,
Letting Go, on the album, and that was so nice. And it was you know, minimal doctoring.
Yeah.
She really did a great job.
So how about your grandkids? You going to get them into music?
I'd hope so. You know,
Okay.
I really want to. I think the next phase of my life will be like their teacher, or at least just have it in front of them and show them that you can have fun with this thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's maybe not the best career choice financially, but it is so much fun. I look at it like golf. You know, golf is so much fun. Are we ever going to make money at golf? No. But wouldn't you love to play for free every weekend? So it's kind of what we do. So and music is just been so much fun for me.
I think it's also just the family friendships that we all make doing this.
Absolutely.
Like that, people outside of what we do don't understand it.
No.
Like people don't understand that. Like we come here to the festival and we know like everybody. It's almost like family. We're all here for each other, and that's something that is I think you don't get in other parts of music or other parts of life actually.
Yeah, it's just too big. People are more isolated, but here you know everybody.
So let me ask a couple questions. What do you think sets you apart the most in polkas?
The band or me personally?
You personally.
Me personally. You know, I don't really know. I think somebody once said to me, you have quite the imagination. And that kind of stuck with me. And I'm like, yeah, I think if that's the one thing that's driven me in music is just imagine where you want to be and try and get there musically. And just don't feel like there's walls that you can't cross or lines. You can do anything, you know?
Very good. So then, before we end this, is there any other advice, any other thoughts that you want to give to the listeners or the viewers about Michael Costa?
I would say I'm just someone who had fun playing all his life. I always tried to impress myself with any songs I wrote, or anytime we played, I'd make a recording. And if I didn't like it, I knew no one else is going to like it. It's got to pass my stamp of approval. And if I liked it, then that's really all that meant. Well, no, my wife. My wife had to like it too. If she didn't like it, then it was out the door. But that was kind of it. If I felt like, okay, this is, and that's what kind of drove me to write songs. I always some part of me, like early on, felt like it was more difficult to learn somebody else's song in that style than it was for me to write my own song.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of free to do whatever I wanted, you know.
So, of all the songs you've written in every band, what was your favorite song that you wrote?
Okay, I think I'd have to give you 2.
Okay.
So my favorite early one would be Tell Me Why. And it kind of had a little Beatle essence to it. In there's this song, Tell Me Why. That's a Beatles song, but I didn't follow that melody. But I also liked the chord patterns. It kind of had like Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
It was like A, G, D.
Yeah.
You know, so all right, this is very rudimentary. And then it was like just a typical long song. And it came out pretty quick. And I thought it was a nice song. And people liked it. And then after that, it had to be She's My Perfect. So this song was the fastest song I ever wrote. So my wife and I came back from dinner and we're just laughing. And we would always throw out album titles or song titles just for laughs, you know. And she would always say, "Oh, that's a good title. Write that." And I'm like, I would say to her, "You're perfect." And she said, "No, you're perfect." "No, you're perfect." And then I said, "Well, She's My Perfect is more of a personal way of saying there's no perfect person, but you're my perfect."
Wow.
And because I didn't want to, I have the perfect wife. No, nobody. Yeah, it's silly. I'm perfect. No, silly. She's my perfect. That's enough. It's enough for me. And she's like, write that. That's a great song. I'm like, all right. She went upstairs. She comes down 20 minutes later, and I got 2 verses. And she's in tears. And I'm kind of like choking up just writing it. She goes, you need 1 more verse. I'm like, all right, get out. So another 15 minutes, came down, and I had it. It was just like that. It just...
By going out to eat and coming home,
yeah,
and
just
this
being in
little
a good
thing,
mood,
just being, and then wow.
And that was it. And it's a little little reflection on life, you know.
Yeah.
Except upon my final breath, I'm glad you're here with me. I hope that doesn't happen too soon, but.
Well, there you go.
So.
Well, hey, Michael, it's a pleasure interviewing with you. You've always been a polka hero of mine. Love working with you. Love seeing you on stage. Love having you play for me when you played for me, and. You've been a great inspiration for a lot of polka musicians. So I want to thank you. Congratulations on being inducted in the Hall of Fame. And
thank you so much.
I appreciate this.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.